There's that disembodied voice
Awesome.
again.
Hello, everyone. Sorry.
Alright, so we have mutants.
Oh, you muted. No, that's clever. Well, at least the sound works.
It's still going to record. It was picking up feedback off of something too. This isn't playing anything,
Wait a
is
minute.
it?
Is that mic on too?
No, I think it's also on the page where this thing plays. Anyway, welcome to the Drexel Freethought Society Weekly Podcast. I am Dave McDevitt, the Drexel Freethought Society President, and I am extremely sorry for the excessive technical difficulties. Directly off screen is a new webcam computer setup, and it was taking too long, so we borrowed Disembodied Voice's computer. Because Disembodied Voice, which is female, so she is extremely nice.
Yes, she is.
No, she's not.
And by the way, in case you haven't noticed, I am back!
It's a trap.
From my 1 week hiatus.
The enforcer, Joe.
It's like we actually tied her to a chair and stole her computer.
Yes. Well, sorry, but I was busy last week saving the world from a giant meteorite heading towards Earth.
No one cares.
By the way, you're welcome.
No one
I'm
cares.
Dante Hinson, the Vice President of the Drexel Freethought Society. How you guys doing?
It's my turn, isn't it?
I think so.
I'm Horatio. I'm
That big dude.
yeah.
You're just here.
I'm kind of just here. I feel like talking, so I'm here.
Can you tilt it slightly that way? Yeah. Well, that's it. There you go. Perfect.
Perfect.
The Disembodied Voice has many talents. Anyway.
Today's topic.
What?
Today's topic.
Yes,
Yes,
we have
we're getting
those.
that. We're getting that.
Okay, so I'm blissfully unaware of what's happening. Okay,
Think.
so we're doing unnatural versus natural. This is a common turn of phrase that people use in discussions about religion, science, various social conflicts. Everyone always wants to decide what is natural and what is unnatural. Can we just put it out on the floor to begin, what these words even mean?
It seems like a lot of people, when they say natural, they try to correlate it or even make it synonymous with normal, whatever normal is.
I would say normal and as well as good.
What is normal?
Well, good. Yeah, some people say, well, natural things are good things. Especially during the whole marijuana discussion. People say it comes from the ground. It's natural, therefore it's good.
Well, I mean, it's better than.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Weeds come from the ground. They're natural. They're not good.
Yeah, you can use all that kind of logic, but the way I see natural, and I'm only going to look at it with respect to the Earth. Because we can go as far as to say that everything that happens in the universe, beyond Earth, is natural. But I'm going to speak from the perspective of Earth. Is that I see it as a composition, an amalgamation of phenomenon dealing with physics and chemistry. Because if you think about it, every living thing is technically made of a bunch of highly animated elements. So I would say that
We are stardust.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I would say all those interactions that occur within the Earth,
Anything can be
chemically
hydrogen, helium,
and physically,
stars.
is what nature is.
Yes, that. I was definitely listening.
I hope so.
Alright, well, the cheating definition of natural, according to Google, is existing in or caused by nature, not made or caused by humankind.
So what is nature?
No,
That's the interesting thing.
I would say the second part's the interesting thing.
Yeah, that's the interesting
Because
thing.
why are things made by humans not natural?
Well, they're made from natural things, but since
No, I mean
humans are involved, they're man-made now because we took the natural resources, but we made them into something else, which isn't natural. It didn't occur in nature.
No,
we made it.
This is the distinction I'm trying to get rid of, in my various trying to get rid of weird stigma that I always do.
Plot.
Is an anthill unnatural?
Beaver.
Is a beaver dam unnatural? Beehive unnatural? Well, beehive's a bad example. It's basically they're like mucus.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Not what
but like a bird's nest. These are natural
Yeah.
things that the animals themselves gathered together and made into something else. Why are
Yeah,
we
but they
special?
didn't change the state of those things. Like,
Yes, they do.
no, they only changed the physical state, not the chemical state. Or
Well, but you can say the same about houses. If a house is made out of wood, we haven't changed the chemical state. We just chopped it and made it smaller.
Yeah, this is true.
And specialties pieces.
Yeah.
Just that we tend to build things that are more advanced than an anthill or a simple bee's nest. Or
how can we say
beaver
that
den.
we're more advanced than an anthill? An anthill might be better at protecting them than a house is at protecting us.
There's, you know,
Which is true.
those giant pillar termite mounds.
Yeah.
Those are perfectly thermoregulated. Like, we can't actually build things that efficient.
That's true.
So, like, in ways, they're better than us. But it also, just to build off of that, I mean, it's all just relative.
Yeah.
I mean, to the ants especially, that gigantic mound that, what is it? It's like 10,000 times the size of any one of the ants, and they
Yeah.
all put it together in a relatively short amount of time.
This is all with respect to the organism and its needs. But whether it's natural or not, I mean that's really difficult because it's like when you go outside and you see an electrical tower or you see a skyscraper or a crane. Like a lot of people would say that's not natural. It doesn't occur from nature. It was built by a human being. But at the same time, you got to think that these things, they're all made of elements too. And we just happen to perform all kinds of chemistry and physics in order to create these structures. So, I mean, it's pretty interesting to think about whether that's natural or not.
Yeah, this is why I want to just raise the question to everybody. Why are, like, what you brought up, why are things made by humans considered unnatural? Why are humans unnatural?
It sounds arrogant. It sounds arrogant, doesn't it?
I agree.
I'm human and I'm separate from the rest of the critters. Therefore, anything I make should be classified in its own right. And anything that those lesser beings make.
It's like, we invented the term artificial. Artificial just means made by people. We don't say, like, I guess it's going to be a stupid word, beaverficial. It was made by beavers. It's like, it's silly if you think about it like that.
When did we become Animal Planet, Discovery Channel, or wherever the case may be?
Since we've made this group.
This topic.
Freethought Society does.
This topic has forced us to become the Discovery Channel, apparently.
Yeah. Well,
No, never say that.
I mean, the Freethought Society does discuss science, not just religion. So I think it's highly appropriate.
But it is weird to think about, like, in terms of natural. So a lot of metals.
Talk louder.
A lot
I said
of
louder.
Damn, yeah.
Well,
a lot of metals
Actually,
occur
that's
naturally on the planet, like gold, silver, iron. But things like steel technically aren't naturally occurring. It's made by
They
it's
could be
made
naturally
out of enforced iron.
Yeah,
But it's still an alloy, which is not a true metal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you want true metals, you'll never find them in nature either. They're all tainted by stuff.
Yeah.
We refine metals.
Okay.
So it's like, at what stage does something go from being natural to unnatural?
Well, that seems like what the whole discussion is about. It seems in the public eye, it's when people just interfere.
But
That's
people
when it becomes
interfere with
unnatural.
everything. Like
Yeah.
when like say someone owns an orchard, well, they're planting those trees, they're fertilizing those trees.
Mhm.
So even humans are interfering with that. Can we call that artificial?
So you're saying a farm could be a natural?
Yeah, because humans are involved.
By those definitions, of course. That's why I want to, like, destroy the whole notion. I think, no, seriously, we are just as much part of nature as an ant or a beaver.
But I feel like in order to be artificial, it has to be like, in my viewpoint, when it says something says it's artificial, that means it's like not occurring in nature at all. Like that's how I see it.
Like you mean
Well,
this building won't just sprout up in nature.
Exactly.
Something has to be done in order to create the building.
Yeah.
But then, once more, then an anthill is
Yeah.
unnatural. Because
But
those don't
without-
just spring up magically.
Without
out of nature.
the ant, the anthill wouldn't occur. Without the termite mound wouldn't occur.
There has to be some like other force involved. Like it can't be just here it is. Something is making it. I don't know.
I mean, it's a difficult
like-
question. When you think about it, it really is a difficult question.
That's why I'm all night. I'm going to be pushing that we're just as natural as everything else.
And-
Just making a distinction, I think, is superfluous.
Uh-huh.
And arrogant, maybe.
I think it's like an accidental arrogance. Because it's kind of, I think this whole thing started going into like the Industrial Revolution age, where we're really people really, I'm going to get smacked for this, but I'm going to say like the Industrial Revolution is generally when we started really going like, we are going to dominate nature instead of trying to live with it. We're going to refine everything, we're going to make trains go really fast, and we're going to invent trains.
And steel.
So what do people mean? So what do people mean by something that doesn't occur in nature? Like especially even nature documentaries use this. They were like, oh, this thing does not occur in nature. Something that's been manufactured in a lab, perhaps. Like what do they really mean by that?
Well, even some of the elements, like all the weird ones with the un in front of them, are not naturally occurring. You can only make them in a lab, like. I don't know,
possibly inside stars.
Or inside stars. Well,
crazy stuff happens there.
That's true. Okay. My point is refuted.
I don't mean
it's refuted in theory.
I don't mean to sound like that. That is a good point.
No, I'm saying
it's like
it could be possible, but on Earth, that can only be made in a lab. It's not
so natural versus unnatural depends on proximity to stars.
Well, I'm just saying only for those elements. Like, they could exist in stars. I have no idea. Like.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So when you're asking if an object A is natural or unnatural, it depends. You see, this is why I still have a problem with this, because if we're manipulating it, we're part of nature. We just have really complicated tools.
Huge reactors and.
No, this is what's really cool. When you get really into engineering classes, you learn.
Which I never will.
No, fair enough. But if you also watch stuff on the Discovery Channel, they're when you learn what basic transistors are made out of, they're just silicone wafers. There's nothing magical going on inside transistors. They're literally pathways of metal inside of silicone for the electricity to go through.
Well, then you could say that
they're basic materials, highly refined, but they're still sand and metal. That's all they are. So, our complicated, super electrical, advanced computers are nothing but sand and bits of metal.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. You can drop this thing and it's gone.
The only reason I'm saying stuff like this is because it's just interesting. We think we have a computer, we're all advanced, we're all amazing. All we did was make a really, really, really complicated bird's nest.
I like this bird's nest better than, a regular bird's nest. Just saying.
I tried getting on Facebook in a bird's nest, it didn't work.
Exactly.
And they try to peck out one of my eyes. That happens almost never when I log on to Facebook.
Are you sure people aren't on there, pecking out your eyes in a figurative way?
You mean all those Farmville invites you get?
Not the Farmville invites, but just
oh God, the Farmville invites!
It's people don't send me those anymore.
I blocked the app. That's how annoyed I was with that.
Everything.
We're
getting sidetracked.
Anyway.
You gotta show me how to do that because it's annoying you. But in any case, it's hard to imagine, because even I'm guilty of this. This whole natural comparison. It's hard to look at this computer and call it natural. But it actually is. It's a bunch of elements that we humans have manipulated to create the computer.
Isn't this plastic some sap or something from a tree? That's what plastics are made of.
What is plastic?
Or
made
poly.
Depends on plastic.
Very
Polyurethane, polyurethyrene.
Are any of those root elements?
No.
Okay.
They're polyesters.
Yeah, they're complex.
I don't know what that is.
Well, an ester can be made from a carboxylic acid and an alcohol. When you put many of those together, you get a polyester.
Okay.
You get an ester and water, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Because you get the H and then the OH.
It's an HCO with an OH group.
Are esters elements?
Awesome. I remember chemistry.
Are esters elements?
No.
Esters are made up of elements because they're all carbon and hydrogen-based groups with other stuff attached to them.
So if you go down far enough, you could say that the origin of the computer is from nature then.
Yeah, like we're made
Yeah,
up.
so-
We're
so-
made
That's
up
what,
of the
that's what I was
same.
gonna say. It's just a pile of sand and metal.
The door behind you is nature. I mean, there's a base element somewhere within that door. There's a wall
And
behind
when you keep going backwards, there is that guy who's digging in the side of a mountain to get the stuff to make your computer.
Yeah.
Now,
There's
now,
very
one
few
thing-
things,
China.
like when you make nylon, it's just like, do you guys know how to make nylon?
No.
It's really cool. You get one kind of fluid and another kind of fluid, and just pour the one fluid into the other one, and then you pull nylon out. You
Like a little thread. It's pretty
You
cool.
pull thread of nylon. It's fantastic. It's made of two fluids, but like nylon is one of the most like traditional, artificially made substance, and it's made just by two not that uncommon fluids mixed together.
What are the two fluids? Just out of curiosity.
I don't remember.
'Cause I- like, we
They
talked
got-
about
One of
nylon
them is a really
66.
long name, and
I know, like we learned about nylon 66, which is also like a poly something. It's not a polyester. It's a maybe it could be polyester.
when we say poly, I just go instantly polysaccharide.
No, it's
I
not
know it's not.
polysaccharide. Those are sugars,
So
No, it's a-
fruit
Well,
fly.
glucagon is a polysaccharide.
and that's a sugar. All right,
Well, yes, but it's a structural thing for plants.
This
and
is
also
turning into
for
chemistry
humans
class.
too. Like even
I
we
don't
are
like
made
that.
up of carbon and
Oh,
oxygen
not
and
glucagon.
nitrogen.
That's a hormone. What am I thinking?
No, glucagon is not a hormone. Glucagon is a no. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
a
it's-
hormone.
yeah,
it's
it's
glucagon and
glucagon.
insulin.
No, it's oh god. What's the structural element in plants?
Glucose.
Cellulose.
Cellulose is one of them.
That's mostly.
Oh, it's just
Glycogen.
cellulose.
Glycogen.
There you go. Okay, so that was embarrassing.
So
What
the
just happened?
so
You're welcome.
another aspect to look at as far as nature versus non-nature or unnature is when people say he's behaving, no, it's behaving unnaturally. This behavior, like what is an unnatural behavior?
Anything that is
I think that. I'm sorry.
Anything that's
Go
not
ahead.
status
like
quo.
anything that deviates from what society thinks is a norm.
We just had an agreement.
And I was about to say the same thing when I was interrupting you. So we all agreed simultaneously.
Yeah.
So it's happened before.
So what are examples of what society, what American society deems as
So do
unnatural behavior?
American society today
Yeah.
being gay?
Yeah, I was just
That's
coming
the
with
big
that
one.
one.
Homosexuality. And I remember I had this it was a horrible debate because these people, I can't even explain how bad they were, but it was me versus like 5 people.
Why didn't
These
you
guys.
call me? I would have jumped on that like a rabid jackal.
These people, like, they were basically
A
like,
rabid jackal.
these gay
I'm
people are
like-
sinners and they're ridiculous and they're
Why
going
don't
to
jack-
hell.
Jackals are not rabbit.
They can be.
They can jackals.
Why
Yes,
not?
they can.
A jackal with rabies.
It could have been bitten by a dog with rabies.
Wait, why are we talking about rabies?
I was gonna jump on that with like a rabid jackal.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
because that's a debate. That's
Oh, okay.
That's a debate.
Yes, jackals
had
can
many,
in
many-
fact, jackals
So
are.
what's the norm? Like
Being a heterosexual white male.
Yes.
That is
No.
the
white male?
Yes.
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 That is the
You have to
status
be
quo.
white.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's I disagree with it. I
Well,
think
that's
ridiculous.
for everyone else.
Yeah, I'm not the norm.
Even though isn't like all minorities put together outnumbering white
Yes.
people now?
Yes.
Well, you can put half the minorities together and they'd still outnumber you guys. Sorry to say.
I don't care. If I was
India
the only
has a
white person in the
population of like
country, I'm fine
4
with that.
billion.
I mean, but you should have seen how these guys were just attacking gay people. They're like, yeah, homosexuality is unnatural. They shouldn't be doing it. It's horrible. They were sinners. I'm like, who
I
the
think
heck are
somebody
you?
protests too much.
Like, I mean, they were vicious. And the funny part is, I was being very calm. I was like, guys, what are you guys talking about? Like, there's plenty of homosexual animals out there. They would probably consider.
This is
that.
the comment. This is a comment. I say no just because this is everybody argues like that. It's like there's so many examples of homosexuality in nature. They're homosexual humans. That means it's natural.
Yeah, I even brought that out to them.
We
They're like,
have
no.
homosexual animals in our species,
They were like-
as well as straight animals.
They're like, no, that's not true. This says, and of course they talk about the Bible, and I was like, no.
Okay, the only passages in the Bible about homosexuality are cleanliness laws and a ranting hate monger who basically hates everyone else anyway.
Who's the second one? Just out of curiosity.
I think it was John. John's the one that just rapidly hates gay people for some reason. Yeah, John of Patmos.
Okay, let me double check.
But then the other one was in a long list of other cleanliness laws. And to be fair, if you don't know how to keep clean, you probably shouldn't be doing people in the naughty place.
Yeah, seriously.
Because that makes sense.
It's called showering and soap. It's
They didn't
not
have
that
these
hard.
things back then.
Well, they could still shower. They had water.
Yeah, they had water. Like, probably one of the greatest inventions of all time is the fact we have clean running water.
Not everywhere.
Well, yes, that, like, one of the things that makes us, like, a first world country is having plentiful, like, fresh water.
The Romans were pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why they were so freaking prosperous.
But yeah.
When you don't die when you drink water, that is a good bonus.
That's an accomplishment.
A lot of people don't
Where
realize
is it?
Where's
that.
the achievement? There it is.
One of the biggest ways to combat the horrific nature of water is drink lots and lots of wine.
Wow.
It would technically hydrate you, and it's full of lots of vitamins.
That's not natural.
Wine is natural. You just put.
Just leave grapes in a bucket for a few months.
There you go.
Well, it's funny though, because with the homosexuality thing, a lot of people who even a lot of religious people who delve into the Roman mythology and even Roman history didn't realize that there was a whole bunch of homosexuality.
Every
Homosexuality was
yeah.
the norm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
every single society that's basically ever existed for any length of time eventually accepts homosexuality, and it only comes up when you have a society that exists for a while. Because I guess no one really feels like talking about it until they have nothing else better to do.
I mean, I feel like there's way better things for us to do, like, focus on terrorism.
Yeah, you see,
all this other stuff, and it's way more important than who the hell is fucking each other. Like, really?
Okay, we all have to be careful. Your sexual orientation doesn't necessarily mean what you insert yourself into.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean.
Or get inserted
We
by.
know.
Anyway.
Or don't get inserted if you're.
I understand, thank you. We will speak with a little tact.
Kinky disembodied voice. Okay.
No, I am not. I'm perfectly normal. Or not normal. I don't know.
So you're a heterosexual white male.
Actually,
I'm a heterosexual white
if you want
man.
to talk about status quo for women, it would normally be that they're like sexual purity or something like that. They'll typically
Is that a thing are we still filming
I don't know.
I think we are.
Some people still push that.
We're kind of on.
Oh yeah, we're in freaking America.
We're in that.
Abstinence till marriage.
We're in that.
But there's a
generation
dichotomy with it. You got the. I mean, you have the one.
So
extreme
guys
with
are supposed to
slut
go
walks.
out and fuck everything that
Yes.
moves, and then
That's a
women are
belief.
not supposed to do
That's a
anything.
belief in America.
And how does that happen?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Those guys must be fucking each other then, because that's the only way that can happen.
Oh, that would be the greatest thing to bring up in a debate. It's like, okay, sir, because I imagine I'm debating a sir at this point. It's like, okay, sir, so all the women have to stay abstinent until marriage. Of course, that's what women should do.
Yep.
This is my sir voice. And then all the men should go out and find themselves a lovely lady friend to have sex with. Yes, that is the natural way. Wait, so
Thank you, America.
all the women are under lock and key.
Yep.
Who should the men be having sex with?
The other men!
Ta-da! But that's unnatural.
Okay, this is
Society created. God damn it!
No, okay, here's a funny little quip that I heard on a random one of those picture thingies with a quote on Facebook. It's like, I can't believe I'm gonna be saying this on camera. Okay,
Go ahead.
so if homosexuality is unnatural and it wasn't ordained by God, how come God put the male G-spot in his ass?
Wait, what?
Oh my god!
Prostate.
It's a prostate, apparently.
The prostate ratio.
The prostate.
Yeah, I know. It's a G-spot, apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
It's what is it, analogous?
It's like, is that a thing now?
It's filled with a huge number of sensitive, like, nerve endings.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's filled with a huge number of nerve endings that can only be accessed through that particular region.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's just an accident.
It's
But-
analogous to the female G-spot. Apparently.
So this
It's not exactly the same, but it's
We're all women when we're in the womb.
Yeah, until you're hit by androgen, and lots of it.
Ah,
Radiation. Yeah.
Not radiation, it's an like.
We're mutant women.
Please never do that again.
Yeah, you're mutants.
That's unnatural.
We are.
So guys are unnatural then if you're mutants?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are mutants? I have white skin, that means I'm a mutant. I have blonde, non-curling hair. That's 2 mutant things right there.
So curly hair's normal?
Generally.
Wild type, sorry? Wild type?
Isn't that, I thought that was, like,
I have no idea.
we are all originally from Africa before we diverged.
Yes.
And then we all had very homologous, like, structures.
Yeah.
And then when we started separating and bred like rabbits, actually more accurately bred like humans,
Yeah.
then all the little mutations started happening. People turned whiter, hair got longer and straighter.
People didn't see a big deal
Eye
about
color
it, so
started
they're still
changing.
screwed.
Say what?
I said people didn't see a big deal about color change or hair change stuff, so they still screwed, and those genetics just kept getting passed on.
It's because it happened so gradually. You'd barely notice if basically everyone around you was a slightly more off shade.
That's natural.
And then Northern European.
Are there are there any other unnatural things that we can think of?
So we can completely disband.
Yeah, 'cause we already discussed infrastructure that people build. We already discussed homosexuality. Those are the main things.
Artificial flavoring?
Artificial.
That's a good one. What's it like yellow?
Is that a different context?
No, those are the coloring.
Yeah.
Flavors are just esters, right?
Yes.
Like basically all artificial flavors are just esters.
So you put an alcohol and a carboxylic acid together, you get ester and water.
Like in it's Chem 2, I think. You do like the class. You make your own ester in Chem 2.
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
There's
And
actually,
So
it's actually
you
Chem 3,
so you're telling me you
it's
can
Chem
make the
3
stuff
and
that goes in
Orgo
food?
2, lab.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
taking
No, like
I'm
no, when
taking
you
Chem
when you
2
put it
next. I
together,
haven't
like this
done
smells
it.
exactly root beer, and the reason it smells exactly like it is because that is root beer. That's what the flavor and smell come from. Is the chemical you just made.
Interesting.
Yeah, I made wintergreen.
I think
Pretty
I made
boring.
grape once.
Yeah, I also made rum once. It smelled
You're making
just like
chemistry
rum.
sound really fun right now.
Chemistry is fun.
You should take Chem 2.
An artificial flavor.
I am.
for
I'm taking
Chem
next time.
3! It's Chem 3.
Well, I gotta take
don't
2
remember
first.
being in Chem 3.
I gotta take 2 first. So.
Yeah, because you're an engineer. Yeah, in Chem 2 you do it, but it's not as fun until you get to Chem 3 and then Orgo Lab 2 and 1. You do it in 1 and 2.
That's natural.
It is natural. You go to a lab and you
Organic
get all
chemistry.
these tools
Organic
out, you
chemistry
put
is
2 chemicals together, and then you distill that stuff.
And that's called organic chemistry?
Yeah. It's organic because it has carbons in it.
I love
It
carbon.
has lots of carbons.
Okay.
Because carbons is the plural of
Because
that word.
at first I was going to say
Carbon's
organic
in the world.
making artificial flavors is interesting. Since organics usually considered
Organic
to be
just means that it has
All-
carbon.
All these words are just arbitrarily
Yeah.
invented.
Like organic typically stands
Oh.
for all natural food with
We
like
should
no
probably-
pesticides or chemical treatments on it.
Yeah, that's
Do you want to get into the
bullshit.
religious aspect?
The what?
Like, there.
What is the
Uh,
religious aspect? Besides
Do you guys want to get into like the religious aspect of natural versus unnatural?
Sure, why
Might as
not?
well poke into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because everybody has their own different views. of it.
It was like historically, as far as I know, a big push for this sort of thing was from like the Catholic Church. It was trying to raise people up and be like, they are the like golden child of God, so they are higher up than all the other animals. And this persisted through like basically every field of science for a long time. That when you saw some of the really early like family trees, they were people at the top, and then everything else kind of branched.
Mhm.
Instead of our circle that we use as the tree of life now. We were just
Like what?
again.
I've never seen the circle thing that you're talking about.
They're
Oh.
pretty cool. Like
Yeah,
it starts with like it's a single celled organism in the center, right? So you have a single celled organism, and then you have all the other ones branching off of it, and it makes a huge circle. And at the end, and it's really cool. Like if you look at it, humans are like
Oh yeah,
That much.
they made the thing with a
Okay.
computer with really high resolution.
Okay.
So when you actually see the poster, if you were standing like 2 feet away from it, you can't read anything on it. It just looks like a big circle.
Oh,
you
you
need a
talking
microscope
about?
to actually see anything on
Are you
the
talking about the
side.
actual evolutionary tree?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
We're
But,
such a
like,
minuscule pods.
But like it used to be for for a long time, the entire notion of anything evolving, when it was even accepted to be a thing, it was like humans at the top.
Yeah.
And then even though they, like, some people are even admitting, like, oh yeah, we evolved from monkeys and whatnot, but still, humans were at the top. We were like the pinnacle of evolution.
Pinnacle of evolution, which doesn't, as far as I know,
that doesn't mean anything.
I feel like humans are actually one of the worst created species ever. Like, we have the most problems. Women have so many knee problems because, like, well, I guess men too, but we're not supposed to be standing upright. Like, our center of gravity is way off for us being bipedals. We get hip problems because we're not supposed to be erect, and
we get back problems because we're not supposed to be erect.
Yes.
Childbirth is horrific. Let's see, we can list all sorts of things. We have a blind spot. We have peripheral organs that don't do anything anymore. We have
vestigial organs?
Limited hair.
Yeah.
For a mammal, for a land mammal.
Oh yeah, we have almost no hair, which, well,
Really?
depends on where you're
But we
from.
make up for it by having really awesome tools.
Yes, we do.
Our sapience is what our main thing is. Other than that, it's like if you compare a lot of animals of our size, we're quite weak.
Yeah.
And like
We are quite weak and fragile.
the brain to head ratio is ridiculous. Like one good swipe from anyone's paws and it cracks our heads open.
Yeah, we're really weak compared to most animals.
It's like, you know, like the traditional, like, super intelligent alien race, the, like, gray heads
the graylings
with frail little arms and they look squishy. That's basically what we look like to every other animal.
Pretty much. Which is why some animals actually don't bother eating us because we really don't have much of it. Most animals avoid. Like people say that the reason why a lot of animals don't bother us, and it's natural. They throw that natural thing there. Is because they naturally avoid humans because humans are the supreme predator. Blah, which in some ways is true, but for the most part, it's just that we don't look very appetizing. Like even large snakes. Like if you like your Burmese, your retics, and your anacondas naturally don't go for people even though they live in the same area because we generally don't have much to offer this animal. I mean,
or just skin and bones.
Not to mention we're difficult to swallow. I mean, I'm thinking about just mostly snakes here because we got these shoulders that stick out. And so once they get past the head, then they really have to contort their jaws around to even get around to our shoulders before they can swallow everything else. So it's like most of the time we're not even worth the hassle to a lot of animals. It's not because we're some sort of gods or anything that
It's like, well, I've never so vividly pictured myself being eaten by a snake. Thank you, Dante.
Well, I am in herpetology, so
I guess a mouse would be easier to eat. They're nice and slender.
If you think of a mouse, it's like really strong muscles at the top of the legs, but then the legs are just bone, and the rest of it is just a meat shoot. So like they're great for eatings, but humans we have muscles in weird places.
People even use the term unnatural, like you were talking about the whole norm thing. Like if an animal doesn't behave like it's quote unquote supposed to do, when you look at it from a teleological point of view. It's like
if like an animal's rabbit or something.
Yeah,
that animal's acting unnaturally.
Yeah, people say that's not natural. That fox should not be out in the middle of the city during the daytime. That's not natural. Well, we
created a giant building in the middle of.
We build our society.
That's true. We technically are, but I'm just thinking in the context of how it is now. Like natural just seems to be synonymous with norm for the most part. Like unnatural would be
whales. It's our preconceived notion of what normal is.
Yeah, that too. Like people say it's not normal when whales beach themselves. They're naturally not supposed to do that. You can just switch it in with they're normally not supposed to do that, and it winds up being the same thing.
And I guess the same thing would spread to the other topics we're talking about. Like, it's not normal for an animal to build a complicated computing device out of sand and metal. Therefore, it's unnatural. Humans. Or if you say, like, it's not normal, this is just going to be an uncomfortable phrase. I'm going to say it not uncomfortably. It's not normal for one man to passionately love another man. So that means it's horrific and evil.
It's unnatural.
Oh, that's I just absent-mindedly stumbled on another topic.
What's that?
Unnatural being evil, or good, and natural being good.
Well, okay, I know we can say this for another time, but I think we should have a discussion about nature versus nurture, because I think that's one of the big topics that people are going to want someday.
Are you talking about with respect to, like,
You can take it
different
with
organisms?
You can take it with respect to anything, like deviant behavior just in general, or like homosexuality, or, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
we're
say
looking at
proteins.
what's innate and what's learned.
Yeah.
Okay, we can, I think,
Yeah, okay.
would that be a separate topic?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Good job, Joe.
All right, so run by
That's why
you're-
so run down the overall of your topic again. You want to have
Okay.
unnatural being evil.
Like this is something I've just observed, and I will happily refute all of it.
Okay.
Where it's like, if something is natural, or however we define natural, it's generally seen as good. Like if something's natural, it's a positive
And that's
thing, and then unnatural is evil or negative.
that's probably created by the generally it's kind of like a mob mentality, where if the majority of people are doing if the majority of people are doing something, it's considered good, because if so many people are doing it, it must be right.
You have such a soft, loud voice.
I could yell if you want me to.
So it's
yell,
almost like a
but I-
Democratic.
If they can hear you, then yes.
How do I sound on the stream?
It's a,
You sound fine.
it's almost like a
Exactly.
it's almost like a
Awesome.
democratic thing.
Had to be sure.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
we're all gonna vote on
Essentially.
what's good
Yeah.
and what's bad.
Or like a subtle democracy. Like I don't think anyone actually does.
But and then on the flip side of it though, depending on the topic, certain things that might be considered unnatural, like if you look at like a workforce, there's only a few leaders and then there's a lot of other workers under those leaders. So those few leaders would be considered unnatural because they're not the majority, but they're sort of praised as being good because they provide something that the people who are natural can't. So
Wait, could you do that again?
all right. So your typical office structure. You have your boss,
Yes.
who will be at the top of the org chart, and then you'll have a bunch of people who work under him, and more people under them, and so forth. It's like the typical pyramid.
Okay.
Then, so the people at the top of that pyramid aren't natural in that case because they're not the majority. So they're doing something different that makes them unnatural and qualifies them to be a leader.
Oh, you actually got another interesting
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah. So in that case, because they have leadership qualities, they're praised for being unnatural and not following the typical worker bee mentality that would be considered normal in the corporate world.
Yeah, like building exactly off what you just said. There's a huge thing about like the way to make people not like something is to dehumanize it.
Yeah.
So like the worker bees, dehumanize them. Call them worker bees.
Yeah.
Then if you dehumanize them, then they don't matter as much. And then you superhumanize, if that's even a phrase,
Yeah,
to like the
it's
boss.
the same with war. Instead of killing people, you kill insurgents or
Yeah, or
some generic type.
various derogatory terms.
They use that kind of thinking when they were doing the big eugenics and euthanasia programs in
Exactly.
the early 1900s. You know, these guys aren't natural, at the most not viable, at the least not natural, so we have to wipe them out for the
Yeah,
purity of the
and
society.
it's the same with
Just
like
the same.
things like slavery, just in all like
Just
throughout time.
dehumanize them.
You have to make them seem less than people because we have an innate need to protect our own
People.
species.
Yeah,
So you have to make them the other, and then once they're the other, then we can get rid of them.
yeah, you can do what you want.
Which
You
may
don't
be
care.
why it's slightly off topic. Like a lot of people fear animals such as spiders or snakes because they seem less human, but not very many people
Well,
fear.
there's an evolutionary.
Yeah, there's an evolutionary thing to it, but not many people fear bears or lions. Even
Are you
people
kidding me?
really-
I would not go near a bear or a fucking
No, I mean,
lion.
like in
They don't have a phobia of bears, but there's a phobia of spiders.
do you
But
know
Well,
why?
because
it's not an
spiders-
official phobia.
We-
Oh, there is, but I'm talking
No,
about like
like we-
most common.
Like
Okay.
we evolved it. We did our major evolving in Africa.
Mm.
They didn't have many bears,
I think there are.
so I don't.
Yeah, but I'm pretty
They did
sure
exist.
they had
I forgot-
lions.
I forgot what.
Well,
they-
yes, but
But there's no phobia.
I'm pretty sure we are afraid of lions.
We're afraid of them. We don't have a phobia. I'm talking about an irrational, extreme irrational fear of it.
Well, probably because
If-
like,
if-
spiders
I was
are
about to say, if I
common.
saw a lion in front of me, I'd probably have a pretty irrational fear.
Yeah, there's also.
It wouldn't be, it
No,
wouldn't be irrational.
No,
It'd be
but-
very rational.
This might
Okay.
This might be why. Pretty much like what Horatio is hinting on.
Do you get
It's
scared
like
of a picture
no,
of a lion?
it's because we don't have exposure to those things. So our I think it's like our developmental psychology. Like when as babies, we're not surrounded by lions anymore, so those fears don't really come up. But we are commonly come in contact with snakes and spiders. So I think those evolutionary advantageous fears spark up more often in our society.
It's just that some of them become extreme cases, which is a phobia. Phobias and fears at different levels.
Of course, but I mean, like
phobias and fears at different levels.
Probably a really nice way to study this is if you saw what children raised in like Greenland are afraid of.
Yeah.
Isn't Greenland all ice?
Yeah.
You're talking about Iceland.
Yeah. What?
Iceland has people.
I'm saying Greenland.
Iceland has
I thought there was no people in Greenland. Only people
I imagine there's some.
There's a population on Greenland. Yes.
But that's what I mean is people growing up in a place effectively devoid of snakes and spiders. I wonder if they're afraid of them.
Well,
that's a good question.
They probably aren't because they've never had any exposure to them, so they're like, whatever. Like, I'm not that scared of lions. Like, all right, they're in Africa or in a zoo, so they don't present any fear to me. Well, a spider, like, there could be one on the floor right now.
Don't say that.
Do you have an irrational fear of spiders?
I have a horrific fear of spiders.
There could be one.
So let's show you a picture.
Well, I guess you can never come to my house because we find spiders like every 2 days.
I'll burn your house to the ground and dance in the ashes.
Well, the ashes might have spiders in them.
Not when I'm done with them. That's when the acid comes in.
Do we have anything else to say about natural versus unnatural? It seems like we kind of agree with a lot.
We kind of agree with each other.
Yeah, this is one of those things where we agree with a lot of what we. I mean, it still feels kind of weird though, because again, it's like I'm looking at the TV and it's like it doesn't register in my head as natural.
That's why like it's so cool to be in like some engineering classes because you learn what everything is made out of.
Yeah.
And you learn how like stupidly simple it is.
I guess you could say a TV's simple. I would.
No, it is. No, like how
according to an engineer, it's simple because you understand the mechanics behind it.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like when you get right down to it, it's effectively just extremely basic physics.
When you get down to the chemistry.
Yeah, like stuff, like electricity flows faster through this material, and that's why a TV works. That's basically it. That's how semiconductors work.
That would be the physics too.
Here's a short transistor lesson. It's like, if you just have a transistor, it's a semiconductor. If you saturate the semiconductor with electricity, it allows electricity to flow through that material faster. So you effectively, if you turn off the charge through that material, then it's locked. Electricity can no longer flow through it. So it's kind of like electricity, you open a door, and then variable control, but that's a MOSFET, that's different.
So when you plug a TV into the wall,
all you're doing is saturating thousands upon thousands of semiconductors. And you know the whole zeros and ones with computer programming, all that?
The binary code.
Binary is just a tiny, tiny transistor being either on or off. That's it. And the whole reason, like a microcontroller, like those tiny little microchips, is just almost molecular sized transistors. That's it. That's all any electronics are. Is just tiny little like light switches.
And you just turn them on or off based on what you want.
Depending on where you put, on where the power goes, in which orientation.
Isn't that how humans work too? You just turn on certain functions and off other ones.
Yeah,
we're definitely.
Various hormone markers turn on various attributes just by injecting stuff into them.
Hey, we run on electricity if you think about it.
Electrical impulses.
Which is natural.
ATP and NADH. We're just energy carrying devices.
We're also walking water.
Yeah, we are. 72%.
We're walking hydroelectric. What?
I would say reactors.
Probably hydroelectric.
Well, actually, probably not reactors. I don't think I'm conducting fission.
Well, if we put you close enough to electricity, I'm sure you would start conducting too.
Thank you.
She's so wondered.
Yeah, like the whole reason I went through all that is just to show like really complicated devices. The only thing that makes them special is like
not understanding what is going on.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that can be spread like I'm going to say ignorance, but not in any insulting way whatsoever. It's just lack of understanding of things like computers or something like that is what makes them like magic. effectively. And with that, you can react to it in a few different ways. You can go like, this is fantastic, or this is amazing, or I'm terrified of this and I want it to stop.
I think that if someone wasn't, like, if we go to some remote island and we go to people that have never been exposed to technology, they would probably think this is some kind of demon or whatever.
It would be one of the two. They would be like, oh my, I want to play with this. This is amazing.
Some islands used to think,
Or they will treat us like gods.
yeah, they used to think like some islands used to think helicopters were gods. They used to come down,
Oh
drop
yeah,
food,
I
and
saw,
fly
I actually
away.
saw that exact thing. And they actually built a model of a helicopter
Yeah.
out of bamboo and stuff so they could worship their god.
Wow.
The helicopter was a god.
Oh.
It gave him food and it went
Yeah,
away.
magic food from the sky. What would you want to worship?
Magic food, as long as it keeps coming back.
But the thing
Oh.
is, I feel as if
Yeah,
even
but-
when we leave this, we're probably still going to use the word unnatural somewhere. It's just implanted.
I won't. I'll stand against the man. No, but the reason I brought up like the dichotomy. It's great. When I think of dichotomy, I have to think of false dichotomy. That's how I remember the word. Anyway,
I like that concept.
What do you mean by dichotomy?
two things opposing each other, and there's only two. To be a dichotomy, it has to have only two answers.
Die.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Not Sputic.
Not Bolte.
anyway, like people can react to things with fascination or terror, and I think a huge reason, and I would say basically the only reason, people fear stuff like homosexuality or hate things like homosexuality because they don't understand it, it's different, and they want it to go away.
Humans are very xenophobic.
Exactly. And when things are outside the tribe, and basically just the whatever organization you find yourself in, then more often than not, that's treated with fear and hostility.
But once in a-
So if you're in white heterosexual male suburbia and you meet a person that happens to be homosexual, a lot of people's reaction is just like, I don't get this. I want it to go away.
Yeah, a great example of that is immigration during the Industrial Revolution era, where you had what was the initial group? Mostly like Italians in New York, I believe it was.
Industrial revolution? Yeah, I think
And then it was
like Italian and Irish.
Yeah, then eventually like a lot of Irish came over, and,
And then, like, the
The Irish were
Japanese.
very ostracized.
Yeah, and then during World War
Asians.
II and
Yeah.
stuff, and huge influx of Asian
Yeah, so,
folks. Or before that, actually.
But
Sorry.
the reason why the Industrial Revolution period just sticks out the most to me is that these are numerous groups of people that would be generally considered white today. And just because they were from a different country of origin, they were ostracized by the public.
Yep.
Yeah, because they weren't from England.
Yeah.
England that's the good place to be from.
But the best thing to say about people is that even though we tend to be very xenophobic, there's also a few group of people who utilize that sapience that nature has given us and say, you know what, this thing is weird and bizarre and I don't understand it, but I actually want to understand it. And you get those few people that
Oh, yeah.
actually delve into it, and it's our sapience that saves us, really. You know, it's that dichotomy that we got that xenophobia and we have that sapience, that curiosity.
I would say the curiosity is just as pronged. It could be, you could totally use it to find out in the fascination of the universe, or you can use it to be even more xenophobic. You come up with rationales to be hateful.
Yeah, that's true. But we should hate this race of people because
It's because they cause all of these problems. That's
Okay, Hitler.
What?
You know, Jews cause all the problems. Like,
It's like, you're starving? It's because of the Jews. We're poor? It's because of the Jews.
That's how
That's how Hitler did
it. Yeah, that's true. He blamed everything on the Jews. We're our.
It wasn't just the Jews.
Not just-
It was basically
he
anyone.
did like
Anyone
Poles
who
either.
wasn't-
It was basically anyone who wasn't the
Blonde
particular class of Germans he
What
liked.
do you
The
call
Aryan
it?
race.
Yeah.
Well, mostly he hated the Jews.
No, it wasn't.
Holocaust!
Wasn't just Jews at
He
all.
said mostly.
It wasn't just Jews in any way.
and it wasn't even mostly. They just like to play it. Everyone has their own bias.
I kind of go with, you probably shouldn't kill that many people for any reason. In fact, let's just not kill anybody.
That'd be a
Realism, anybody?
That'd be a perfect world, but perfect isn't.
That's unnatural.
This would be the greatest time to like stop. Be like, peace would be great, but it's unnatural.
Absolute peace is unnatural.
I mean, it is unnatural in a way. Like, what
Unnatural
are we doing with all
doesn't
our
mean-
rifles and guns and?
The whole reason
What
I'm
are we
talking
doing?
about any of this nonsense, in like from the stance that I'm coming from, is that nothing is unnatural. It's a word we made up.
But
Anybody?
didn't we make up a lot of words?
Of course we did, and I don't like a lot of them.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching this podcast. I'm just kidding.
Actually, then it might be about that time.
Well, then, we can go on as long as you guys want, because we were a half hour late.
Actually,
Well, it's 30 seconds.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's end this because it's getting close to that time.
yeah, I actually have a precedent.
Oh wow, it actually is almost done anyway. We've been on for almost an hour. And we all take out our berries.
Yes, we're kind of running out of
Well,
material.
I'm actually wearing a watch.
So,
What the hell is that on your wrist?
Alright. It's just big piece of metal.
So,
Oh my god, he has one too!
Well, I wear it because it's sparkly.
so thank you guys so much for watching this podcast.
I
We'll see you guys next week.
Alright, well, Joe doesn't finish proceedings. Let's, do we have any closing remarks?
This is probably one of the few times where we all generally agree with each other.
Hooray!
Which has made this kind of
Boring.
interesting.
We talked for a solid hour without even
I mean,
noticing.
I don't know. I think it's a bit boring. Like, if you're having a debate, you need to have another side.
This wasn't supposed. Okay, this club wasn't built to have debates.
But I
It
feel
was
like-
built to have discussions. We're allowed to
I thought the
agree.
word debate wasn't constitutional.
We foster debates and we encourage them.
Yeah,
It doesn't
so I
particularly
feel like-
need them.
You need to have the other side because we're all biased. Like, we all agree with each other, but we're biased. So we need to see the other side as well. Like, what they're.
No, I think
Once in a while-
we have
once
a
in a while-
fairly nice, diverse group.
Once in a while,
That's
it's
why I
okay.
absolutely love that you guys are here.
Well, no, it's still okay that we did agree. It's just that there were some things that we didn't know about certain aspects of natural and unnatural, and like I learned things. As long as you learn from these discussions, it doesn't have to be any opposition. I feel as if that the discussion fulfilled its purpose. There's some things
Hooray.
you guys were talking about that I didn't know, and I hope y'all find
Oh, I didn't know half the crap you guys were talking about when it got all chemistry.
Yeah, I learned where essence came from.
Yeah, you guys didn't know about the snakes that
I'm like,
how they eat people.
I'm thinking to myself, it's like, I'm a business major. It's like, if it doesn't involve money, I probably don't know what you're talking about.
Ted DiBiase.
Don't care.
This is Ted DiBiase over here.
Were you
like,
paying
huh.
attention when I was talking about transistors?
Yeah, I got that, because I did.
I just love that my computer
science.
is a box of sand and silicone chips.
It's like,
We learned something.
This my time as a computer science major.
This discussion has fulfilled its purpose.
Espers?
Yep, so let's end this now.
Esters.
Esters? Okay. Learn something new today.
Everybody learned something.
Well, you should
I'm happy.
read the labels on your shirts. Most things are made out of polyester.
Yeah.
Enough with the damn lie.
I think I always just say
Kill
like
it.
polyester instead of like polyester. So I always think it's like something different than
I think we're gonna
actually.
close
Yeah,
this.
I didn't know it was a type of ester or a combination
Yeah,
of
that
esters.
that
I just
actually
think there
came
was
up.
like some
That's what
random like element, almost like a alloy.
So why don't
like
they
a titanium
smell
alloy.
good?
Why don't they smell good?
They're made of esters.
It is. I think we better take us home.
Well, I think this, even though it's an ester,
wait,
like
hold 2 seconds. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to look up esters on your own. Okay, this is the Drexel Freethought Society. We have fantastic discussions, and occasionally we agree on stuff.
those rare moments.
It won't happen again, I promise.
It probably won't.
It's natural.
Email us at drexfreethought@gmail.com. Watch the old things to figure out whatever the number we use. See you guys later.
4 minutes stop.
How do I do this?
I still haven't figured out how to kill
Do
this
I just
freaking
hit stop
stuff.
recording?